not gonna do it, but on the walk over here, I wrote a theme song.
Don't. Oh, okay.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm not a musician.
Oh, no.
It's just to the tune
really?
of SpongeBob's theme song.
Let's not do that. Please, God.
Is that illegal?
I mean, I don't even remember SpongeBob's theme song anymore.
I don't know. I don't remember the words, but I think everyone knows the tune.
Maybe?
Safe to say, the lyrics were pretty bad. But the tune was spot on. It's almost like I stole it from a popular show. I still don't know how to start these. That's the most awkward part. Because every time I think, okay, how do you start a podcast? I go into, like, radio mode.
Yeah.
And that's not this. And then my mind goes blank on, like, well, what does this person do? What does that person do?
We are nowhere near as professional as... Like, if we went full radio mode, I don't think we'd be able to keep it up. It would just spiral down into...
Well, radio mode's easy because you do it for 5 minutes at a time and then play music for 20 minutes.
I suppose.
I don't think you can keep it up for a full hour, though. And I don't want to start every episode.
So with an introduction.
Well, I don't want to start one with an introduction. B, I don't want to start every episode with, I don't know how to start an episode.
Yeah.
It's something I should maybe think about. And I guess I was just listening to TVs. But, I mean, I guess we have a theme song. We just can't hear it. I could play it.
Let's not.
Maybe that'll help.
No.
That way the audience gets it twice.
That'd be so freaking annoying. Well, let's just start off with, hi, I'm Duncan, again. If you're listening to episode 2, what's wrong with your life? And this is Colin.
I'm Colin. And episode 2 means we didn't hate ourselves enough from the poor reception of episode 1.
I don't think it was that bad. I mean, for not knowing what we're doing and just putzing around.
Okay, so insider look at the inner workings of the Power Moose Studios. Our average listen time is 4 minutes.
Yeah, and that would have been our little talk on anime and Konosuba.
But to throw other podcasts under the bus that I don't remember the names, so they're lucky. I saw a podcast today, episode 256. 5 views. We're doing better than them on our first episode.
But how, I suppose we wouldn't...
God bless that just resistance to no one listening at all.
Yeah. I mean, all the more power to them.
Yeah, no, God bless. I don't think I'd get to 100 episodes with under 10 listeners an episode.
First episode, you were like, we only got 36 views, was it?
Yeah, but
you're freaking out.
I don't know how many of them are us.
How many times you're just checking back?
Well, because I don't know if it counts it as a view when the poster looks at an episode.
Yeah.
To see what it's at. Which really, I shouldn't be clicking on the video. I should, It's almost like I don't post YouTube videos other than my demo reel 2 years ago.
And YouTube has changed a lot since then.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 years ago, there's been like 2 separate controversies. YouTube Red. Didn't that happen?
Yeah, but I wouldn't call that... I mean, people complain.
People were upset, but then...
I don't think
anyone's... like.
I'm using it.
Okay.
I am a subscriber. Or I guess not a subscriber, but... Vsauce has got a show on there.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I enjoy it.
And then there was the the bell button now.
Oh, yeah, the notifications.
Yeah.
When it works, it's great.
My email just gets flooded, and that pisses me off. Because you know how I like to keep my email. Clean. Just like my desktop. Nothing on it.
I like to keep it clean, but I don't. It just gets filled up.
No, I can't have any. I gotta have that picture of Kira and Killer Queen just front and center, and anything that muddles that, just that little voice starts screaming in my head.
Well, my desktop on this computer is actually pretty clean. You can't see it.
Okay.
But I've only got like 2 icons, and that's it. Which is weird because I barely use this computer. I use the work computer most of the time.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm never on the desktop there, so I don't care what it looks like.
Yeah. So to get us started, what have you been watching / playing this week?
Well, hasn't really changed much from last week. I'm still just playing Kingdom Hearts. I'm not perfectly okay with it still, but it's grown on me. I don't hate playing it anymore. There's issues with it, and I don't know why they decided to do this. There's a drop system, and I don't know how I left this out of my complaints last week. But any game that tells you how to play the game, if that makes sense, is wrong. So I don't know what the time limit is because it just doesn't give you an actual amount of time. But it's just every so often, no, you can't play as that person anymore. You have to play as the other person now. And I'm like, no, I could be in the middle of a boss fight and it goes, no, see ya. And then when you return to that character, you have to start the whole boss fight over. That's not cool.
What?
Yeah. And now there's items that can fix it.
Okay.
But there's not for whatever reason, there's not just a use item button like in every other RPG. You have to equip the item like it's like an attack skill and use it. But that's wasting up an attack slot, so you have to open up your menu, take out an attack skill, put in the item you want to use, close everything out, use the item, bring back the attack skill. It's just a mess. But at least I'm enjoying playing the game now. The little Pokemon and me thing it's still dumb. I don't like it in Pokemon. I don't like it in anything. I don't just level my creatures up and leave me alone.
Just no connection,
no
emotional attachment to anything. Just
well, it's hard to get the
send
emotional
them out to die.
It's hard to get the emotional attachment to anything when the game is based around get this new one. And you just constantly switch them out for new ones. I don't care about them at that point.
Is there like a PC you can put the old ones in, or do the old ones, they're just left to die?
Well, this is the one thing they have better than Pokemon, is there is like a bank, but you don't have to go to a place. You can just swap them out whenever you want. So that part's nice. Other than that, I stayed true a second week in a row. I watched some more movies. I watched 3 this week, which is a lot for me, but one of them doesn't count. I watched a documentary on rats, which if you like documentaries, watch it. It's super good. It's creepy, because rats are becoming just immune to poison.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying.
A little, yeah.
And it just kind of gives you a look around the world at how rats are treated or they're dealt with. It mainly focuses on New York City, where, a big city, where they just kind of have trash all over the place. Then I watched the new Resident Evil movie, Resident Evil Final Chapter, the entire series. It just has pacing issues. You know how when you watch a movie, if you're not looking at a clock, you go, oh, this is the last fight before the movie ends. I've got 10 minutes left. That's the entire movie.
So you're just constantly in a state of, it's over now, I can go home?
Within 5 minutes, she's fighting this giant thing. I'm like, this feels like the end boss, quote unquote. But the movie just started, so I know it's not over. And the third one, and probably the best thing I watched, was one of my favorite comedians, Bill Burr, put out a new comedy special. I think it was called Walk Your Way. Goddamn hilarious. If you're a fan of comedy, or if you're a fan of Bill Burr, check it out. It's on Netflix. Would recommend. Now, what about you, Duncan? What have you done this week? Because I know there's some things you have done, but I'll touch on them when you get to them.
You know far much more about what I do than myself. Still watching Konosuba. Still weaving it up, watching my anime. Not a whole lot other than that. I mean, there was a point where I was like, I can't afford to do a whole lot after this month. And then last night I'd seen my subscription to WoW had run out, and I bought more time.
Good.
And then I sat there just thinking, well, time to just waste my life.
So that's actually what I want to talk about. We talked about it before, but earlier this week you're telling me you're playing WoW, and you played tank.
Tank? Warrior.
That's a tank.
Well, no, because the warrior has, like, yes, it has one tank spec, but its other two specs are a DPS spec.
Okay, I only play MMOs for the PvE content, so all these actual roles mean nothing to me.
Well, Colin, unfortunately, that is something you would have, like...
I've done maybe one raid in my entire life, and it wasn't even in WoW. It was probably in Guild Wars 2.
Okay.
But I want to talk about that because you said you enjoyed it. Playing a new class because you're usually DPS.
Since Burning Crusade, I've been playing a rogue, and as of Legion, I've kind of felt burnt out from playing it. Like,
so that's how many years?
Oh, fuck.
I mean, Burning Legion is when I played WoW, and
yeah.
I stopped playing before Lich King ever came out.
I can't remember. It's been it's 12, 13 years since WoW started. So maybe 11, maybe 10. It's been probably a decade. Decade's 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at least a decade.
Okay, so I know you play WoW. I've known that's the only thing. That's what I knew about you before I even met you.
Yeah.
You don't play much other MMOs, do you? Because you're kind of linked to WoW.
I mean, I played Guild Wars forever before I started playing WoW.
So that's Guild Wars 1.
Yeah, Guild Wars. The original, yeah.
That game's terrible.
I enjoyed it.
I did not.
I mean, there wasn't a lot of post-game content once you beat the final mission, unless you wanted to do PvE.
Good.
And I, unfortunately, am not one for PvE. I played when Cataclysm was not wrapping up, but I think, when the expansion Cataclysm was wrapping up, and Star Wars: The Old Republic was gonna come out, my entire guild was like, yeah, no, we're ditching this game. Star Wars: The Old Republic's gonna be amazing. And again, at the time, not a lot of content once you hit level cap. So I kind of said, I just kind of abandoned my guild because they were like, yeah, we're going to play this game. I just said, you guys are idiots.
But you always come back to Baby WoW. I don't mean it as in it's a game for babies. I did enjoy WoW when I played it. I just mean, it's your baby. It's the one you always...
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be attached to my character, particularly my rogue, but... Yeah.
But, so the question I sort of had was, what role do you usually play? Because you, like you said, you just recently switched up and you're really liking it. Because I don't know if I've talked about it with you before. Like I just mentioned, I'm all PvE.
Yeah.
So I jump MMOs constantly. Now, I haven't really played any for maybe a year or two now. It's been a while since I've sat down and played an MMO for any amount of time. But I would play the first 30 levels or so.
Yeah.
because that's when you have to start doing raids and start talking to people. And then I'm out and I switch games.
I mean, first 30 levels in World of Warcraft, like at level 15, you'd start your first dungeon, either Rage, Fire, Chasm, or the Alliance.
Well, yeah, I mean, every game's going to be different, but the average, because I've played dozens of MMOs.
Yeah.
I've played a lot. I've gone down some dark holes and ended up enjoying some really terrible MMOs. I played Runes of Magic for a very long time, which, if you just look at a screenshot, you go, that's a World of Warcraft clone, and it is. But I love that game because it did something that I liked a lot, which was you dual classed. So you had two classes that worked as two characters. So my character was a warrior rogue. So I would level up as a warrior, and then you want to like balance on that. So it'd go up 5 levels or whatever as a warrior. Then
kind of like D&D.
Yeah, but and much like D&D, the part that I liked about it is my warrior could use certain rogue skills, and my rogue could use certain warrior skills. So that's what really drew me to that game. Yeah, no, it's bad.
Oh, wow. This is...
But, now, while you got your phone there and you're looking up MMOs, because the one I played about as much as that, Jesus, look up Eden Eternal.
Okay.
Because outside of Runes of Magic, that was my MMO of choice.
First thing that comes up when I start typing, I just put ED, and it just...
Now, if you want to talk about anime garbage, look no farther.
Oh, there's some Twin Tails right there. Oh, wow.
Now, what drew me to that game is you can play as a bear.
I was going to say, that's the image I just brought up. It's this giant bear. His hands are crashing. Is that a shield or his... I think that's his robe?
Yeah, that's his robe.
Okay. I couldn't tell there for a second.
But, I don't know. That game was... I don't know, it's cute. That's why I like that game.
It looks like a Korean MMO.
But yeah, so I have always been tank.
Yeah.
And...
Generally, you have better survivability.
And I did sort of the same thing as you, where eventually just exhausted myself. And then I did the opposite of you. The last MMO I sunk any time into was FF14, where I finally went DPS.
Okay. And,
I don't know. I don't know if I prefer it, but...
You're definitely a little more squishier, but generally your damage output kind of compensates for that, unless you're really bad.
But, okay, outside of MMOs, say RPGs or anything like that, where you don't really have these builds, but like in RPGs you always have like your slower, stronger weapons, or your faster, weaker weapons, or your ranged weapons. Which ones do you usually kind of side with?
I enjoy having a mix of mobility and like it's always going to come back to mobility with me because I enjoy being able to dodge an attack, maybe like not something where I'm just the tank and just kind of wading forward with my big giant sword just to swing and chop things down, but something quick, light, something that has utility, that like an all-round kind of character.
It doesn't help that we can't have a real conversation because all of the RPGs you've played, all of the ones that I've played, are completely different RPGs, and we've literally, to my knowledge, have never played the same games.
Well, that's why you should play The Witcher 3.
And you should play Dark Souls.
I don't like Dark Souls. I die like a little bitch. Bloodborne is, like, lore-wise, I'm more interested in Bloodborne.
I mean, that's a good game. But that game is more speed. But, I mean, eventually, to anyone who's played it, almost everyone, I would, pulling this number out of my ass, and say, like, 50% of players, especially newer players, who've never played a Souls game, once you get, I think it's called like Ludwig's Holy Sword or Great Sword or something. It's a giant two-handed sword. Once you get that, fuck mobility. Just give me something that I can swing twice, waste all my stamina, but whatever's in front of me is dead.
I don't know. I like to have a certain amount of control on the battlefield, and I find being able to duck in and out of attacks, being able to dodge things, parrying is really important to me. If I'm just sitting there waiting, like, just half the time I'm attacking, I spent swinging a giant sword. Like, in the amount of time it takes you to swing that sword, I'd like to think that I could dodge it, get behind your back, and stab you in the kidneys a few times before you even swing once. But then again, my perception.
I'm sure someone out there's done a test somewhere in multiple games where I imagine the DPS comes out to about the same.
Maybe. Yeah.
You land the big strike and it does say 100 damage, or you dodge and land 8 strikes and they're weaker, but it comes out to about the same.
Yeah.
But I've always been, big power.
Big power. Yeah, no, not so much. But again, getting back to where the root of this conversation is, I'd recently switched over from my rogue to a warrior. To big power. And I'm kind of flip-flopping in between arms and fury. I really like both.
I don't know what either of those mean.
Arms warriors get to use one big weapon.
Two-handers?
Two-handers, yeah. And fury warriors get to use 2 big two-handed weapons. The difference being is that arms warrior has more... what's the word I'm looking for? I've found has better survivability than Fury Warriors. Fury Warriors are kind of those glass cannons. They pump out an insane amount of damage, I find. And they're really fun to use. But,
don't have the defense?
They don't have the same defensive capabilities as an arms warrior. Whereas arms warrior, the rotation is completely watered down and really boring at points. But you're doing, I think the latest charts said Fury and arms are kind of neck and neck when it comes to DPS, with Fury kind of inching ahead not ever so slightly, but by a certain percentage. But unless you're with a healer, you're going to be sitting down, bandaging yourself, and trying to get your... Like, there's a lot... I find when you're by yourself, there's a lot more downtime with Fury Warrior than there is Arms Warrior. Arms Warrior, you kill one enemy, you're low health, you go charge a new one, you hit Victory Rush, and you get health and rage back, and it's just, okay, keep killing. And... That's kind of where I'm at, unfortunately. I like the easier spec arms.
Now, do you think you're going to stay there, or do you think you'll always be DPS? DPS at heart.
I've always been DPS. Because, one, I've never really had a computer that can handle... Like, there are some times where I'm down below 12 frames a second.
It's doing MMOs like a champion.
Like... Normally, I'm sitting at 20 to 30 frames per second, which I've gotten used to and I've kind of adapted to. There was a time where I was playing at 60 plus, and everything was just so wonderful and buttery smooth, and then that computer died on me. And I have a very limited knowledge of computers.
Oh, me too.
So... I got the school computer, which was good for a time, and I was able to raid, and it was lovely. And then that computer died on me, And now I got this new fucking piece of shit computer that's supposed to be... And there are some fights now in Legion where I can't... I'm doing subpar DPS compared to previous expansions. I'm rating at like 12 to 8 to 12 frames a second. And I've kind of stepped back from rating because of it, because I am a liability to my team because of it. And I still haven't told my guild leader, which is probably pissing him off.
Yeah, see, that's why, like, I don't want to deal with that stuff. That's why I'm out. I mean, I was my own guild leader for a little bit, where it was just people I knew in real life.
Yeah.
And I think those guilds are fine. But once it involves other people and their schedules, I'm out. I don't want to be told when to play games. I don't want to play games on their schedule. I don't really want to tell other people to play on my schedule either. Yeah. So I just PvE, and then once I can't, I'm out.
Well, I mean, I enjoy the concept of raiding. I enjoy having a set time where your team gets together and you beat your head against a boss for a while, and then maybe you get it down, maybe not. But when you do eventually get that boss down, the best part, and the one thing I keep hearing from raiders that everybody loves, is just the sound of joy over vent about getting when you get a progression boss down. Like, just the relief and the tension, like, the tension just completely drains out of your body. When I was raiding with my guild, we were doing mythics, and there was this one boss that was giving us a particularly hard time, and eventually it was like 12:30 at night. Usually we raid, once we hit 12, we're done, because everyone's got to work in the morning. One of our team guys has got to get up at like 5 o'clock the next morning. And he was just like, we're so, like, we were getting him down to like 5%, 2% of his health, 1%. And then we finally get him down. And I just felt all the tension in my face. All my body just went completely slack. Everyone starts cheering in the vent. And it's like, this is the moment that raiders... like, that, it's the high.
See, that's selling it to me a little bit. Not so much, because I'm still not going to do it.
No.
Because I know... I've just played MMOs enough to know I don't like to raid. Yeah. But I can relate to the feeling, because that's why I play Souls games. Is for the same reason. Just beating your head against a boss until it's done.
But, I mean... that's... I mean, to kind of coordinate, I think we had 20 people at the time to all work together and get this one guy down, I think is more fulfilling than just me beating my face against a boss until I win.
But you never tried it.
No, I didn't.
I mean, they're fun games, but I can see your point. I think part of me would like to share the feeling.
Yeah, it's that whole team kind of mentality. Like when a sports team wins the Super Bowl, that's relevant.
Relevant sports.
Relevant. I know my sports.
Well, no, football is not my sport of choice, but that's coming up.
Yeah.
That might be today, actually.
I was gonna say,
very soon.
Looking at the Messenger app on my phone, I've just got Pearl, but
it is today.
Yeah, it is today.
Relevant sports analogy.
Okay. I have no idea who's playing. All I know is that
I know that much. It's the Falcons versus the Patriots. I know because I googled it in front of me.
Okay. I don't know either of those. Like, Patriots is New England, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Baltimore Ravens. I know.
It's the Falcons.
Oh.
It's not even the Ravens.
Okay, I just have the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's the Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta Falcons. That's still a state. That's not a state. No, it's
Atlanta's
a city. Yeah, that's
in
right.
Georgia.
In Georgia. I don't know. I never.
I'll forgive you for not knowing sports teams because I don't know football either. But I can't forgive you for not knowing what Atlanta is.
I don't know. I never watched The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah, I didn't even make that connection. It's a good show. Starts up soon.
Oh, why is it still going?
Still the most watched show on television. Every episode. Actually, I think Big Bang might do better, but...
Actually, while we're on the topic of zombies...
Oh.
Recently, there was a study by the University of Leicester in the UK, I think.
I'm gonna say yes because I don't know anyone else who would call their university Leicester.
Well, it's a weird way of spelling it.
Then that more than confirms that it's probably in the UK.
Basically, the study stated if a zombie apocalypse were to occur now, it would take 100 days for humanity to be just decimated.
You sure it's not Leicester?
I don't know. I was watching the videos. The might be Leicester, but while I was listening to the recruitment videos for the university, the British gentleman or...
Yeah, but they butcher every word out of their mouth anyway.
It sounded like he was saying Leicester.
But alright.
Okay.
As you were saying.
And I just really am confused as to why zombies are still popular. And what kind of... what does this research contribute to humanity?
Well, nothing. It's pop science.
It's pop science. Okay, pop science.
And honestly, is scientific studies going to be relevant at all unless it's on A, Mythbusters, which is canceled, B, White Rabbit Project that nobody watches, C, Vsauce, or D, it has zombies in it. That's it.
I don't know.
And I don't know people's fascinations with zombies. And guess what? I still watch The Walking Dead, but I don't watch it for the zombies at this point. I like the people.
It's for the human interaction, yeah. And the zombies are just kind of something that pushes along the plot.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, at this point, you could remove the zombies and the show wouldn't change that much. It's mainly about people. But I don't know. I think things are dying down a little bit. I don't feel like zombies are as everywhere as they were a year or two ago.
A year or two ago?
Well, maybe even longer. I don't know. But I feel like we're getting out of it. I don't feel that it's as everywhere as it was. Because we were coming out... I mean, Walking Dead's been going on for years.
Yeah. Then there was the Fear of the Walking Dead.
Well, that's fine. It's the same company and all that stuff. But, we've got, iZombie. Or, your CW spins on the zombie genre.
I cannot stand iZombie.
I've never seen it, so I can't speak for it.
I don't know, the main actress, she had done something before that.
Sure.
Where she was a private detective in university or college or something. And I just sat there through the entire thing watching it going, what am I doing with my life? And then I just go back and play WoW.
Now, I'm looking up Rose McIver, who I assume is the main girl in iZombie. Because she's the girl in the front anyway.
Yeah.
And I can't help but notice she's in one of my favorite straight-to-TV Disney movies, Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off. Shout out to the 3 people who have ever seen that movie. It's about a boy's struggle between baseball and cooking. And because it's a Disney movie, spoilers, he does both. Actually, I think he ends up going to the cooking competition after the big game, and he wins them both because it's a Disney movie.
Was Air Bud Disney?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think that was, well, I mean, it was probably Disney because Disney owns everything.
Yeah.
But you don't think Disney when you think Air Bud. Were you a big Air Bud guy?
I mean, there was a time where it was just Air Bud and Space Jam when I was a wee baby.
Oh, okay. Shocker. Disney does own Air Bud.
Okay, that makes sense now.
I want to guess how many Air Bud movies there are.
I'm gonna be generous and say 12.
Should have pulled this up first. Oh, I don't like these numbers I'm seeing.
What do you mean?
Ooh.
It's more than 12?
I think so.
Wow. How many dogs?
If you count everything, there are 16.
Okay, so I was off. I was pretty close.
There are 5 Air Bud movies.
Yeah.
There's a basketball, football, soccer, baseball, and volleyball.
Okay.
Then there's the Air Buddies movies.
Oh, okay.
And that's the one where they go to space with Space Buddies.
That's weird. Like,
And then there's the spin-off series, The Search for Santa Claus, which has 3 movies.
are you serious?
Yes.
I like that was rhetorical, but
The Search for Santa Claus is a prequel. So there's a deep lore
there's a
to the
Air
Buddy
Bud
movies.
So are we still on my week? Because
Well, if you got more to talk about, because
other than World of Warcraft, I've been painting my 40k miniatures, or at least trying to.
Okay, so I know you do that because you like Warhammer.
Yeah.
But do you actually enjoy painting them?
I enjoy building them.
I guess that's what I should say.
A lot. Painting them, I mean, you kind of see them on that dresser right now. They're all like in this different states of disrepair and just all of those. I've got 2 that are actually almost done their paint job, but I'm just kind of adding like shadows and highlights to it.
Now, do you... Because you obviously don't need to paint them.
No,
You don't need to. You've got the model. You don't need to paint them.
You need to paint them. It's part of the process.
But, well, no, that comes to the second part of the question.
Okay.
Do you paint them because it's part of it, because, yeah, they're supposed to be colored?
Well,
Or, like I said, do you enjoy painting? Is it a relaxing thing for you to do? Or do you just do it because you gotta paint it because they're supposed to be painted?
well, I mean, they're supposed to be painted because in official tournament play,
Yeah, but you don't play anyway.
No.
It doesn't matter.
I try. Well, I'm trying to. First, I've got to paint them and build them, and build them then paint them. But I mean, there are rules to the tournament. Like every model at least has to have 3 different colors on them.
Now, I'm a complete novice in the Warhammer universe. I've stepped inside a Games Workshop a few times,
With me.
and I've gone like, oh, those are cool, but that's about it. Now, does every armor, or not every armor, does every army have their color that when you play, you have to paint them that color? Or can you just kind of do whatever you want?
Well, I mean, if you're going for a specific army, yes, you have to paint. Like, you kind of stick to a guy, like, they're
Stick to the lore?
stick to the lore. But you can have custom armies.
Can you, like, race trade? Like, can there be multiple races in a single army? I don't know the universe, so I don't know. I don't know how frowned upon that is.
In the Imperium of Mankind, xenophobia runs strong.
Okay, so there's no orcs in those swamp people things that I think are real cool looking.
Oh, the Nurgle, the army, the Nurgleites.
Sure. I don't remember what they call this.
It was a chaos army of
I thought they looked real.
Nurgle.
And actually, I think the Swamp Things I looked at were Warhammer.
Yeah.
40K.
Well, so. I mean, the Chaos Demons army in... I'm not sure how that works. Like, they're the one... The Chaos Demons are... The Chaos Army in 40K kind of doesn't... I've never really explored them. I've mostly stuck to my Black Templar Space Marines.
The baby's first Warhammer army.
Those are the Ultramarines. But, I mean, it's not like I diverged. It's not like the apple fell very far from the tree. They're still Space Marines.
So instead of, the play school...
Instead of play school, I picked the...
I don't know, another kid's
brand.
Yeah. I think it's just play school. Play cool
or
whatever it was called.
The one thing I can tell you about the Black Templars, just baseline, really simple, is that when the Ultramarines leader was like, hey, here's a codex to kind of keep us under control, the Black Templars were like, fuck you and fuck your codex. We're doing our own thing. And they just constantly are on an ever prolonged war across the cosmos.
So here's a Warhammer related question. Everyone who I know who's into Warhammer, which on a personal level I only know two people, which is you and another friend of mine, and I know of a few people at work who are into it.
Yeah,
and it seems that everyone who's into it is pretty into it. It's not it's not an on the side interest for anyone.
You're either don't know anything about it,
you're in or
you're in deep.
So there's no, stick your foot in the water.
No.
It's jump into the deep end immediately.
Well, it starts off pretty innocently. It's like, usually you see a few models, you're like, oh, that thing looks cool. I would like to own that particular model. It looks neat. And then from that point, you either say, okay, I'm done, or here's 1K, get me an army, please.
Now, because I don't have any interest that's as niche as Warhammer, because in the nerd realm, Warhammer is deep.
Okay, yeah. Warhammer is pretty deep, but it is kind of gaining in... I mean, PETA's complaining about it. One army and one fallen... I can't remember the words, but War Master Horus. I can't remember his title, but I know he's War Master Horus. He's got wolf fur on him, and I understand that Warhammer is very niche, but at the same time, when you've got PETA coming knocking at your door,
there's some level of awareness in
popular mainstream culture.
Now, I want to. I'm still calling it niche, and I don't think you disagree.
No, I don't.
Because I feel confident that I could tell someone who is I don't want to say a real nerd, because I don't, I think everyone hates that fake nerd term. But I know people that I could probably be like, oh, you like Warhammer? And they would have no idea what it is.
Well, I mean, there was that time we were at our mutual friend's party, and they were like, yeah, we're modeling stuff for Warhammer something or other. And I immediately lit up. And then they're like, oh no, we're not into Warhammer. And just, it was that conflicting feeling of, oh, someone's talking about Warhammer. And then, oh no, they're not actually, okay.
So, the question I have about it being kind of niche is, when it's super niche, you have a dedicated fan base. Mm-hmm. It might be small, but, they're vocal.
They're vocal, they are
and
ravenous.
I'll say dedicated, because despite how niche Warhammer is, Warhammer gets a lot of games.
Well, that's... Yes.
Like, compared to a lot of fan bases, Warhammer probably gets more than a lot of things.
Yeah. No, and that's kind of in part to GW's Like, they're just throwing their license at pretty much everyone and seeing what sticks at this point.
But,
because there was a Warhammer chess game on Steam.
Oh, okay, on
back.
Steam, that's different. I was going to say everything gets a chess game.
And that was the point where I was just kind of like, GW, maybe you should pull back on some of the people you give a license to.
Well, because as someone who is not a Warhammer fan and, a gamer first, even if I wasn't a Warhammer, I almost feel bad for Warhammer players because I don't know if I've seen any Warhammer game that's good at all.
As much as I give it shit sometimes, particularly only for the final boss fight, Space Marine was probably one of the best Warhammer games outside of the RTS games.
Now, was that I don't know if it was on PC, but PS3 360, Gears of War type one? That's the only one I've played.
Yeah, I mean... yes, it was, but I mean...
You don't like it being
compared to Gears of War.
Well, I mean, we live in a world where, depending on where your camera is positioned, you're gonna be called
because
whatever.
Yes, that was one thing that really made my blood boil when that game came out. People were like, "What are these Gears of War knockoffs?" And I'm sitting there like, "Listen here, friend. These are fucking Space Marines. Long before the Terran Marine, long before the Doom Marine, there was the Space Marine in the Imperium of Mankind and the God fucking Emperor."
Yeah, see, I don't get heated about anything like that. When it comes to being interested in anything, I am, the jack of all trades, master of none. I'm not real deep into anything, but I have, interests are spread wide.
I mean, there's Godzilla.
Yeah, but even then, well, okay, I guess Godzilla's another one of those, is you don't just kind of like Godzilla, it's, you think, that's a cool movie I saw once, or you know all of them, and you're in love with them, because he's your adopted child. And I want
because
to
there's
marry
that
him.
comic book store we go into, and there's that little stupid Hanna-Barbera looking...
And I look at it every time, and I want it. I mean, yeah, okay. I guess you're right. I am definitely pretty deep into the Godzilla, because it's definitely one level of fan to be like, I've seen Godzilla movies, and I think they're, like, fun, dumb, corny stuff, and they are. It's a different level of person to own every single movie, including the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. But, so yeah, I guess I like Godzilla. And it is very comparable to Warhammer in that every Godzilla game is total garbage. The last one, I think it's just called Godzilla. I played it a ton because it's Godzilla, but Jesus,
it
it's
was
bad.
not received well.
No, it's like Metacritic's got it at like a 30 or something. And it looks like a PS2 game. And that's part of its charm, because it kind of looks like a shitty 70s movie.
Yeah.
But I know it wasn't done on purpose, so I can't say, oh, that's a cool aesthetic, because I can't say bad is an aesthetic.
Yeah, so that was my day. Is there anything else?
Well, there's
we need to cover
something we didn't talk about last week, and because it's the hot game,
RE7,
Resident Evil 7,
okay,
which is much better than the movie. Now, how much Resident Evil have you played, or how familiar are you with the games?
Back in high school, so back in 2005, 2006.
Old man.
In my particular neck of the woods, the teachers were all on strike, so we'd go over to my friend's house, and he had a PlayStation 2, and I don't remember which Resident Evil, it was...
Well, it would have been 4. It's the only one on the PS2.
4? Okay. No, I think it was...
well, I guess they could have been playing a PS1 game on the PS2.
I think so. Because it was... I want to say Jill?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I can't see
had
inside your memories
it was,
from 12 years ago.
It was the girl with the green beret.
Yeah, Jill.
Okay, Jill. And we didn't have a memory pack. So it was, if we die, we have to start over again.
Yeah.
And every lunch hour, for an hour, we'd play that and see how far we could get on just without a memory card.
Now, I'm a fake RE fan. I've only played a little bit of Resident Evil 1. And I've never played... Or no, I did play 2, but I was at an age that... And I played so little of it that I wouldn't say I've actually played it. I've never played 3 at all. Now, did you play, like, the one in the mansion?
That's RE4?
That's 1. Okay, so you really don't know anything.
No, I don't know nothing. I remember... I do remember there was a mansion. I remember there was one where we were on the streets a lot of it.
That would be 2.
Raccoon City.
Yeah. Or 3
and then
games.
we played Resident Evil 4 with Leon.
Yep. I mean, that's the most popular one.
Yeah, and I remember liking it a lot. And then Resident Evil 6 or 5. 5 was the one with the giraffe head. The giraffe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's 6.
Which
6 has the giraffe
okay,
blowjob.
6. Giraffe blowjob. It was 5, I think, that was set in Africa,
If
right?
people who don't know, look up the logo, the logo to Resident Evil 6. The 6 is clearly a giraffe getting head.
From itself?
No, from a bent over human shape.
Okay. Then it was 5 we played. I would sit there and I watched, and it was the dumbest, campiest thing I've ever seen in a Resident Evil series, and I was just like, I can't.
I like 5 a lot.
I don't.
But alright, series aside, I went in pretty deep once I played Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
I was pretty hooked, but not hooked enough to go back and play the old ones. So played 4, played 5, played 6, owned them all, beat them all. How did you feel about 7? Because now, we didn't play this in, I guess, the intended way. We sat down with, what was it, 5 or 6 people?
Yeah.
We all kind of traded off every once in a while.
Yeah.
What did you think? Were you not a fan, really?
I mean, you know me. I'm a little baby bitch.
Yeah, a little boo-boo.
So when something scary happens, I do one of 2 things. Try desperately to laugh it off and joke about it, or I run for the hills. And I can honestly say that first time around, you're playing it, it's probably real spooky and probably real fun, but I don't know what kind of replayability that game has, like once you see all the scares.
Well, I don't replay games, so to me, no game has any replayability.
Yeah.
But, I'm watching Let's Plays of the game, and I'm seeing things that we didn't see, so I honestly think if you did replay it, you could still get scared.
Okay.
Because there are just things that might not happen to you every time.
Yeah.
But did you like the game?
I mean, getting together and hanging out with everyone was real fun. I don't know if it's a game... With game prices being the way they are, I don't know if it would be a game I would buy. I mean, games are coming out now at $79.99 Canadian.
Yeah.
And once you factor in taxes, you're practically paying...
It's like $90.
$90. And if I was going to... I don't know. I don't think it's a game I would spend $90 on.
No, see, I feel the same. I like it, but
I mean,
it's not my type of game.
Yeah.
Now, the more we've played, the less horror. Like, minor spoilers. You were there for this. It kind of gets a little goofy.
Oh, but it was so much fun.
And that's when, like, I won't spoil the whole thing, but there's a chainsaw duel. And that's when we were like, oh, like, there's more to this than just, it's a, generic, PT ripoff game. Like, this game gets dumb.
The chainsaw duel was my favorite part. But also, the car fight
was goofy.
My favorite. The second, that was the one boss I picked up the controller for because I was just like, I want to perform some vehicular homicide. And, I mean, I get it. You couldn't really... Boss fights in RE7 work better when you're in a claustrophobic space. And that garage is real tiny.
Yeah.
But it felt huge. Like, when I was in that car, backing up, driving forward, constantly
it is big enough that you can do donuts in the car.
Yeah.
It's a sizable garage.
I found that kind of weird, though. As much as I love that entire sequence, I found it weird. Maybe this is because my parents didn't own a garage. I don't know what garages are like.
Yeah.
But you should not be able to do a donut in a garage.
Well, I think if it's like a ritzy 2-car garage, and you only had one car in there, there's room. I have seen garages where there would be room, provided there's only one car.
Okay. But, no, I mean, getting together with a group of friends and playing it, that was a fun time. I just don't know if I would go out and spend the $90 to pick it up and play it by myself.
No, I wouldn't either. Because while I think the boss fights and stuff are goofy and dumb, the main, get this puzzle piece here and go bring it here, and that's just not my horror. Mm-hmm. I prefer the more action of... If it was a Resident Evil 4, I'd play that alone, sure. But that's because I like horror games. Not that Resident Evil 4 is particularly scary, but okay, Dead Space, scarier than Resident Evil 4. I prefer, let me shoot things, let me kill things. That's what I want. And the other thing that I didn't talk about last week, and I totally just skipped over it for what I was doing this week. I watched Gritty Archie reboot.
Oh, we're talking about Riverdale?
We're talking about Riverdale.
Oh, boy. Because you were having, a stroke at the lunch table when you were talking about it.
So, minor spoilers for episode 1. The show focuses on, everyone's, America's favorite teenage boy, Archie Andrews. And, the show really hammers home that he is 15 or 16 years old. If he's my age of how old I was in grade 11, because this is right at the start of the school year when the show starts, he would have been 15. So in my head, he's 15 years old. Okay. But depending on his birthday, could have been 16. Either way, he fucks his teacher. He fucks Miss Grundy.
And this is the same Miss Grundy as the comics, or...
Oh, she's way hotter now.
She's in her 30s, late 20s.
She's still... well, I said late 20s originally, and then when I sat down and watched episode 2, she's probably in her 30s. Definitely a cougar. She is referred to as a cougar in episode 2. But, I'll admit, I watched episode 1 as kind of a goof.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, you were saying this is it's they were trying to go for a Twin Peaks kind of murder mystery thing.
Yeah, and they're pretty open about it. So the show opens with there's a death in Riverdale, and, it's just a classic whodunit. And I watched the first episode as a goof, and then I saw episode 2 came out, and I watched it, and honestly... I think it got its teeth in. I think I'm going to keep watching it.
So you're going to keep watching.
Because I don't know who done it. They're really hammering, this person did it. But it's clearly not going to be them. That's too obvious.
Now, there's Betty and Veronica.
Yeah.
But wasn't there like an arch nemesis of
Cheryl
Archie?
Blossom. Okay, you mean of Archie.
Yeah, like a male counterpart to Archie. He was kind of like the one that hung out with Veronica and was like, man, I'd really want to get into Veronica's pants.
I mean, that was the entire town of Riverdale.
Well, yeah. But I think, I don't know my Archie lore. I just know he had black hair. In the comics, and in the shows.
That's probably Reggie.
Reggie?
Probably.
Reggie, yeah. Is he in it? Has he made an
everyone, every classic character, including less classic characters like Kevin. Are all in the show.
Okay.
Betty, Veronica, Jughead, Pop, Miss Grundy, Cheryl, Jason, Moose. They're all there. The whole gang. But yeah, honestly, it's on Netflix. Now, you don't really watch live action television.
Other than Daredevil season 1 and season 2, the Luke Cage series, and I'm waiting for Iron Fist to come out.
And I can't help but notice those are all Marvel properties.
Growing up, I really liked Daredevil.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not faulting you for it, but like,
and he was kind of the one superhero that my grandparents and my parents were okay with because he was Christian Catholic,
religious.
He was religious, so he was kind of him and Spider-Man because they were both kind of like they both wouldn't kill.
Yeah.
Where at the time it was the early 90s. Marvel Comics was trying to be a little edgier, and in spite of all that, Daredevil and Spider-Man had a code of conduct, and they were the two I was allowed to read.
But, like, I get why you... Because I watch those Marvel shows, too, because we're both comic book nerds. We both have our weekly trips to the comic book store to pick up our comics.
We really should set up a pull list or something.
Yeah, probably, because I keep missing issues. But why do you think you don't really watch live action television? Because, like, when you're looking for a new show to watch, you always go to anime.
Yeah. I think what killed live action shows for me was because I get it, we're in a video on demand kind of culture now.
Yeah.
And you don't really need to wait through the ads and stuff. I think what killed television for me was commercials and ad placements and
well, yeah, but we got Netflix.
I know, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just the turbo weed.
Turbo weeb.
Yeah, and I just think that I don't really know where I'm going with this. I just don't like live action shows. Like even live action Korean shows or Japanese shows, I don't watch.
Yeah,
it's just anime where I think I've always liked cartoons. I always prefer cartoons over live action.
I don't know if I would say I prefer them, but I am the opposite in that if I'm looking for a new show, I typically go live action first. And then, if I have time, if there's a hole in my watch schedule, then I'll fill it in with anime.
Yeah.
But I will say you get much more unique content in cartoons and anime.
Where am I going to get my mecha in? Like, live action mecha.
Well, it can't afford it.
Exactly.
It would look terrible.
Exactly. So I have to go to anime for my Gundams, my Gurren Lagann, my
Dragon Maids.
Yeah,
Exposing you live on air for watching that trash.
But yeah, it's kind of like that.
But kind of back to Archie just for a second. Yeah. Check it out. Dude, that's your homework. That's your podcast homework.
That's my podcast homework. It's watch Hot Archie.
Oh, he's so hot. I'm pretty sure he's 18 in real life, so I can say that. Actually, everyone in that show was cast pretty well. If you have any level of familiarity with Archie, you can go, that's Archie, that's Betty, that's Veronica, that's Jughead.
But then Moose comes along and you're like...
Well, no one knows what Moose looks like, really.
Usually he's built like a tank.
Yeah.
Like, from all the from the comic book depictions to the cartoons, he's built like he could just clothesline the Rock.
He has a good jock face.
Okay.
Like, when you see him, you go, oh, I bet he plays football.
Yeah.
But he's not that big of a dude, and it's because they made Archie super ripped, because he's the main character, and he's got to be...
And he was working construction.
Gotta be pretty.
Because working construction for a summer makes you that ripped.
I've worked construction for a summer. There is no way... Yeah, it's a good workout depending on what exactly you're doing, but the dog shit, greasy food you're eating between that work negates anything you're doing.
Yeah, no. I worked in a welding shop for 3 years, and where I wasn't doing I was doing heavy lifting every once in a while, and I was probably better in shape, but I was constantly sucking down, like...
Just trash.
Just trash.
Just eating right out of the garbage.
Because you just consume just the calories just to kind of keep yourself awake and alert at all times.
But yeah, that's your homework. Watch the first episode.
Okay.
I'd say give me homework, but I do watch anime.
Like, other than...
I watched Konosuba.
Yeah.
I finished it.
You finished it.
It's good.
I'll
probably watch more.
Okay.
Because I'm not watching any other anime right now. Well, Little Witch Academia. Still going strong. Still waiting for JoJo to get another season. Hopefully. Definitely my anime of choice in a long time is JoJo.
Well, because up until the alien character, I was going, okay, this is strange. It's not bizarre yet. And then they introduced him, and I'm just like, okay, this is getting weird.
Well, I mean,
like the ghost granddad, I was like, that's pretty par for course. And then it's like aliens, and it's like, what?
Now I'm gonna do a real terrible segue here.
Okay.
And just
steer
the car off the goddamn road.
I'm all for this.
Because I was specifically told to do something on this episode. And I don't know how to do it naturally other than just say, alright, that topic's over. So let's switch over. So I know you'll know where this is going.
Yeah.
Because you know this.
It's story time.
But I'll lead with you.
Colin's Bizarre Adventure.
Is there anything, whether from a dare or from your own stupidity, that you've consumed, be it eaten or drank, that was just beyond a bad idea?
When we were at your apartment and we were playing Bean Boozled.
Oh yeah!
And you were just like, okay, this is taking too long. Let's take a whole handful of it. And that wasn't bad. The bad part was when we were starting off and it was just like, oh, it's so much fun. And that spoiled milk bean came up.
Yeah.
And I could just feel like I wanted to vomit, and I kept holding it down, and I could feel my veins on my forehead popping, sweat rolling down my face, and just tears welling up in my eyes. And like that was like, I kept going until we finally got to the point where it was just like, okay, this is taking too long. Let's just take handfuls and kill ourselves.
Now I don't want to call you privileged. But having the worst food you've eaten be a jelly bean, is pretty
that
privileged.
Tastes like spoiled milk.
You've never had your friends dare you to eat something stupid?
No.
You have
because
good, you have good friends.
My friends are nice people.
And I need to know what that's like.
No. Like, we generally, growing up, we respected each other, and we rarely call each other fuck faces.
Oh, no. Insulting people.
No.
Insulting the ones you love is the way to go.
No.
But
yeah, no, I never dared them to do anything, and they didn't dare anything. I mean, I did attack one of them with a mop once and caused him to bleed.
Yeah, but did he eat the mop?
No.
Exactly. No harm done.
And to be fair, he wasn't really someone I'd consider a friend.
An acquaintance?
That's being too nice. I hated this child.
Now, I've had a number of bad food experiences. Be it greatly overestimate my heat intolerance when it comes to eating peppers.
Yeah.
That's I feel like that's bitten everyone at one point or another.
There was one point where my family was growing their own, like, they're just these little tiny beans.
Yeah.
Or jalapeno. I don't know what they are.
Jalapenos are normally not that tiny.
This thing is like
real tiny.
Real tiny. And it was about mid-January, back when there was actually snow.
Yeah.
At one point. And I popped this thing in my mouth, and all my friends are like, Duncan, are you absolutely insane? And I'm like, no, it'll be fine. I love spicy things. And for a few seconds, I was just like, oh, this is perfectly fine. Nothing's wrong here. And then it went from that to me with my head down in a snowbank, screaming.
Now, for spicy things, the only one that comes directly to mind... I mean, I've had tons of, like, eat something that I don't think that's going to be that hot, and it ends up being way hotter than I expected, but not life-ruining. But, there's a place up the street, Bubba Ray's.
Yeah.
They have a sauce that you have to sign a waiver for, which, is
suicide sauce or something?
Yeah, it's not it's not a totally original thing.
Yeah.
I know a handful of places that have it.
Every pub or restaurant has something like that.
But no, this was a friend of mine got it because they're much braver than I am, I guess. And I just had like the smallest dab of dabs, and that was nearly murder. It's the only, and I've had a few of the sauces from those places that have waivers, and it's usually kind of a joke. This one I feel like was kind of legitimate. That was a bad time. But that's still not as bad.
Okay.
As when I took a straight shot of vinegar. And this is why I specifically said you've never done anything because you're an idiot. Because this wasn't a dare.
I mean,
This was something we were just shooting the shit, talking about, wouldn't it be funny? And I just said, let's just end this conversation, and I'll just do it. As far as food-related decisions, the worst decision of my life. This was 30 minutes later. I'm still in... My stomach is yelling at me. It's like, look, I don't know what to do here. There's a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't belong. We want to throw it up. And also, like, part of the worst part was, I did this in public.
Yeah, you did this right in front of the cashier, right?
No, it was in front of the cooks.
Oh.
But still, I have still not gone into this restaurant since then because I've been so embarrassed, and there's no way they remember. But this was months ago.
Part of me really hopes they remember that you're the guy who guzzled, like, a shot of vinegar.
I kind of do too, and that's why I still have not gone. And that sucks, because I kind of like that place.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to go there, but every time it's like, no, I can't go there. They might remember me.
But this was, 30 minutes later, I was texting friends for emotional advice to get me through these dark times. And thank God I had one friend who was just as dumb, who had also gone through this vinegar nightmare. And
Like
he's
the
like,
same
hey,
night?
no, in the past.
Oh, okay.
And he was just like, you get over it.
It'll be fine.
And you do.
Now, did you end up just putting your finger in your mouth just to kind of induce vomiting, just to get rid of the sensation?
Well, no, because I stayed in public. I was with a group of people. I had company over, and we went out to dinner. And I wasn't going to start throwing up in front of people.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you're in pain. Just stick your fingers down your throat, induce vomiting.
Who likes to vomit?
Nobody.
Exactly.
But when you poison yourself...
I'll deal with the pain. I vomited for the first time in a long time. That's not true. Okay. I vomited, I don't know, a week or two ago now, for the first time, minus being too drunk or hungover in a very long time. If you puke when you're drunk, whatever, you'll wake up in the morning and forget how it felt.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant.
No, of course it's not.
You vomit once and you're like, I'm dying.
Well, I mean, if you're puking up bile, yeah, but, I mean, generally, it's not that bad.
But, I guess, keeping on the mouth topic, something we've talked about a lot in the last few days is, I was a responsible adult, and I've gone to the dentist recently for the first time in many years.
Yeah.
Because I should. You should too.
We'll see. Once this month is over and I have some cash and I'm not feeling like I could be evicted at any moment, we'll see.
Okay, now, growing up, were you ever afraid of the dentist?
Yeah, because usually when I went to the dentist, the dental assistant would just manhandle my face with the floss.
Now, I don't... There's a bigger age difference between you and your brother than me and my brother.
Yeah.
But, because my brother and I are so close in age, we would always have dentist appointments together, one after another. And I never had a problem with the dentist. My brother very much hated them. And I'm wondering if you know how your brother felt.
No.
He didn't like it either, or you just
No, I don't know. I have no idea. I barely talk to my brother.
I don't either.
I mean, other than to be like, hey, Neil, where's my Christmas present? Is that IOU still relevant? And he's like, stop.
Now, so like I was saying, went to the dentist, and I don't know if how much things have changed, if they're just, I'm not a child anymore. But like I said, I've never had a problem. This was one of the smoothest medical experiences I've ever had in my entire life. And I had 4 cavities, which is not insignificant.
No.
I'm not joking. I fell asleep with my mouth open. Because the drill was just soft enough to kind of shake my little head to sleep. And they admitted we've never seen someone fall asleep while being drilled in the mouth. And it was just an hour and a half nap for me. And they're like, we didn't even drug you. And I was like, yeah, I know. I guess I was a little sleepy.
Okay.
But, yeah, so I don't know if that's something new or I just have no feeling in my mouth anymore. But that was... if it wasn't for how much it cost to go to the dentist, I would do it again. Nice little nap.
Oh boy.
But,
I'm immediately immediately taken back to that comedian who was like, "Do you let her go yard in your mouth?"
Oh,
Yard
Bert
in your
Kreischer.
Birth.
Bert Chrysler.
I've been listening to that clip so much. I love every second of that.
It's a solid clip.
Yeah.
But I guess that's it. I'm gonna kind of, unless you got more.
What are we gonna name it? Like, what's this episode gonna be called?
I don't know. That time I let a dentist go yard in my mouth. Probably not. But
I like it, but I don't see that flying all too well.
But yeah, I mean, there's tons more to talk about, but we've been going a decent amount of time, and the rest of these topics that I want to cover eventually are like hard 180s from the dentist.
Oh.
Okay, so I do have one thing.
Okay.
That we could keep going.
Okay, let's start. Let's see how far we can take this.
Because this was hot off the presses. Was a news story I took a look at right before coming over. Do you believe we live in a multiverse?
I can't really. I would like to think so. I mean, because that would kind of give me some semblance of hope that maybe the multiverses at some point would be connected and we could travel through them and not be in a completely dystopian fucking reality we're currently living in. Yeah.
So if given the opportunity to dimension jump, would you
jump to another dimension that's hopefully not as fucked up as our current reality? Oh yeah. I think it'd be great.
Dimension trader.
I hold no loyalties to anyone.
But now the reason I bring this up is some scientists that I totally was irresponsible and didn't look at what university they're from. But they obviously didn't find proof. But the multiverse has always just been
an idea.
It's been an idea. And that's it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be neat? And that's it. That's all it's ever been.
No.
Now, they still don't have proof, but they finally found a way to test it. They haven't put it in testing yet. But, and I mean, this is stuff that goes over both of our heads. Clearly.
Oh, yeah.
But they found some sort of algorithm to test it. So, I feel pretty confident that within, I'll say, 5 years is pretty generous. It's honestly probably going to be sooner than that. That we'll know for sure. They feel pretty confident that this test will do it.
I mean, it would be neat. And maybe my sunflower and rainbows ideals of me being like, hey, I don't want to live in this dimension anymore because it's shit. And then move to another one where it's not as bad.
Okay, so would you leap dimensions, but A, you can't pick the one you're going to.
Uh-huh.
But B, you can't go back. But you can keep jumping.
So A, I wouldn't know which one I would be going to, or B...
No, it's both. So you jump to another dimension, but you don't get to pick where you're going.
Okay, well, you wouldn't really be able to know.
But if you hated it, well, no, we don't have things that are going to work. Maybe they're all labeled. Say you go to one and it's way worse than things are now.
Yeah. But
you can't go back. Would you keep blindly hopping dimensions? Or because things aren't that bad here. Yeah. Would you stay here to eliminate the risk of possibly endlessly jumping to worse places?
Part of it would be out of curiosity that I just keep jumping, like just to see what possible realities existed, because I think that'd be neat.
Yeah.
But again, if it was just nightmare after nightmare, with each jump, I'd probably be like, I want to go back.
So no, the answer is no. Then you wouldn't do it. You'd stay here. And I'll say, I guess, as an added sort of bonus is you could eventually get back here, but it would be blindly jumping.
And you might not even, like, you might get to something close to that
You might get to something totally identical.
But then just snake tongues. Everyone has snake tongues.
Everyone has snake tongues. Every time someone talks, bees. It's just bees come out of their mouth. I imagine you'd probably catch on to that pretty quick.
Pretty quick. But the snake tongue one, I'd be like, I'm okay with this.
Are they live snakes?
No, they're just like a forked tongue.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like a living snake.
Like the Treehouse of Horror episode.
Okay.
Where Homer does that, and then everyone's got snake tongues.
See, I don't know if I would. I mean, I definitely agree that, like, you want to out of curiosity.
Yeah.
But I can't. I wouldn't be able to tell anyone. Because, I mean, I would assume we wouldn't have interdimensional communication.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe you could get to a dimension where they figured out how to label them and you can just go to the one you want to go to.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe I'd do it. It's hard to talk about science when we are artists.
Artists and have no education whatsoever.
No. But, now did you... Now I know we both have an interest in science. Because, we've talked about various science things before.
Mine tends to lead more towards prosthetics development and the eventual cyberization of humanity.
Mine's more into space. You get me going on aliens and all this.
And then the tinfoil hat just comes down.
Okay. Well, actually, you know what? Yeah, let's keep this going because you just created a segment.
Oh, yay!
So, I didn't talk about this last week in the podcast, but I've been very vocal to you about it over the last few days. That I've been very tinfoil hat. The government's gonna get me in my life.
Yeah.
I've been very good about it in the last few years.
Yeah.
And even when it was bad, I kept it very
Do I need
quiet.
to get the spray bottle out?
Well, my first question is, what is your relationship with conspiracy theories?
They're just that, a theory. Like,
it's no fun. Okay, well, are there any you like? And you can like them and not believe them.
I think it's the MKX theory, conspiracy.
Mortal Kombat 10?
The Mortal...
The conspiracy theory that Mortal Kombat 10 was an okay game?
I don't know what it is. It's the first one that kind of pops into my head, but every time I hear it, I'm just like, I don't know what that is.
Explain it.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if it's... I think it's the theory... Or not the theory, the conspiracy where one of the American, the CIA or the FBI, I can't remember which, was experimenting with acid, and they got these arcade cabinets that basically just sprayed acid in your face, and then, projected some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Suggestive imagery.
Yeah.
That to kind of hypnotize or kind of implant suggestions into people. And then there were a whole bunch of people that had come out and said, "Oh, the MKX thing was real," or the murders that happened afterwards, and the people being like, "I was affected by the MKX program," blah blah blah. And that's always, that's kind of, I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's the MKX conspiracy program or not. But it's just kind of one of those things that's real neat.
Well, okay, well, what about the big ones? I mean, the big ones are Bigfoot, or cryptozoology as a whole, I guess. Bigfoot being the biggest. You believe in Bigfoot?
Not really.
No, I don't either. It's fun.
It's fun. Like that video you sent me of about the guy who was about to just get bent over by Bigfoot.
Sexually assaulted by
Bigfoot.
I think my favorite Bigfoot fact that, as far as I know, within the community is a fact that he can teleport, and that's new. It's pretty new, and I like that because that's why they can't find him.
My favorite was Mitch Hedberg's little.
Mitch Hedberg?
Hedberg, yeah.
Comedian?
Yeah, the comedian.
Yep.
Yeah. I can never pronounce his last name. But he had said that Bigfoot's powers is that he's able to remain unfocused when someone's taking a picture of him. And the thought of a furry monster just running at you was terrifying to him, or something along those lines.
You know what that sounds like? It sounds like Bigfoot has a stand.
No one can ever...
It's weak power, but big range.
Yeah.
That's the new canon. Bigfoot is a stand
You can
user.
never... So, okay. Okay, so... Bigfoot's stand causes him to, like, in any kind of picture, any kind of surveillance, he is blurry.
He's blurry, the camera gets unsteady. It just makes any footage of him look questionable.
And then, like, maybe a second part to that is the camera equipment gets disabled or destroyed or some kind, or the video footage is completely unusable after one view.
What would a stand be called? I don't know any bands that are Bigfoot related.
Bigfoot, or, you know, a song about...
You can make a dick
Nickelback's joke. Look at this photograph. That's too heavy-handed, I think.
Fuck it. That's a... I don't know. Yep. Yeah, but would you call the stand Nickelback?
Or photograph.
I guess photograph.
Yeah.
But that's a...
It's kind of a weak name for a stand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like King Crimson, Golden Experience, or Black Sabbath. Like, those are all good. Then you got Photograph.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
It does not hold up.
Metallica.
But... Okay, well, what about aliens? Because that's, I guess, considered a conspiracy theory. But I don't consider it. I consider it just fact.
That there are aliens?
That there are aliens. I think the conspiracy comes in with, we've been visited. We have their tech. They're locked up somewhere.
I mean, it would be nice to know that there's other life out there, but... I think it's just that. It's kind of this comfort blanket that we're not alone in the universe, that everyone wants to believe that there's more life out there and everything's not just dead, and that we're the last kind of vestige of life in the galaxy. I think that's kind of my stance on it. Like, hey, it would be nice, but chances are maybe we're on the tail end of the universe's kind of lifespan.
What about lizard people?
Are we talking about the New World Order?
Yeah.
Which one? Because apparently there's two.
Not the wrestling organization.
Well, no, I mean, like, because there's the Illuminati.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, well, that kind of makes sense.
That there's a higher power.
That there's some sort of power kind of guiding humanity towards a certain... Like, that kind of makes sense.
Everyone listen, if we die, and if there is not an episode 3 posted, we have died, and report to the authorities. The Illuminati guys.
I'm just saying, if there is an Illuminati and they're guiding us to some... Good for them. Humanity needs some sort of guiding force, because if we're just left to do whatever the fuck we want, we're pretty much just gonna nuke ourselves. But there's those New World Orders, and then apparently there's this other New World Order that the aliens are gonna come down and forgive all human debt and Trump's one of the members of the New World Order, and it just sounds like the ravings of people who...
I mean, if you want to go real nuts, I'm pretty sure there is one that claims that Barron Trump is supposed to have a child with Taylor Swift to create the perfect Aryan child. That's a real thing. That's a real thing I've heard.
I feel really bad for Barron Trump.
Me too.
He's
just a little boy.
He's just a little kid. He's playing peekaboo with a niece. I was like, that's legitimately pretty, like...
That's innocent.
That's innocent.
I mean, he's 10.
Yeah. And then Trump's his father, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to... Like, in my heart, I didn't want to believe it. Because just watching him... And it's just like, there's no way he's...
You can still shoot loads at 60. Barron's proof.
I guess.
He came out okay. Maybe.
Maybe. We'll see.
But, so, like I was saying, despite my best efforts over the last couple of weeks, the hat, it's been lowering. I don't want the hat. I don't want that tinfoil hat, but it's coming down. And last night, it kind of hit a peak where I've asked a few people if they know who this person is. And I hope you do, because this will make this much easier.
Oh.
But do you know who Alex Jones is?
No.
Do you know the website InfoWars?
No.
Okay. Keep it that way.
I plan on it.
But Alex Jones is definitely one of those people where if you don't know his name, I can guarantee you everyone has seen a clip of him yelling about goblins. That's his most famous clip.
Okay.
Where he talks about Trump being a goblin and spewing goblin vomit. And, I mean, it's a great clip. I ended up listening to like a 3.5, 4-hour conversation with him.
Okay.
Where topics were covered from Oprah has meetings in some high tower with the powers that be to kill off her own race, all the way up to bankers talk to demons in other dimensions, and that's where they get their banking info from other dimensions.
That's so cool. Just make a giant pentagram on the wall and just sacrifice a goat, and Beelzebub comes out from the wall being like, so, I don't know, what's stock? Like, just any sort of stock info. He just starts relaying stock information.
And, yeah, I feel...
I really like that.
I mean, oh no, like that, the Oprah one's a little too much for me because I don't want to get into race killing.
Yeah.
But a lot of the more ridiculous ones are super fun to think about.
Yeah.
Like I would love that bankers and investors or even the government
just make covenants with Satan
are talking to like DC's Trigun or whatever the hell Raven's dad is, because that's what I picture every time I picture other dimension demon. I just picture her dad, whatever his name is. I think it's Trigun.
Yeah.
Just him existing.
Got little banker glasses on and a note and like a BlackBerry in one hand and one of his arms. And then he's typing away, and he's got a
little number crank.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
And he's just like, "Hey, Steve. So the Nasdaq is going down this month. Blah blah blah."
Does it count as insider trading if they're in another dimension?
Maybe.
But I'm going to cut it off there, because I'm seeing the light in your eyes, and I feel like I'm going to start dragging you down if this keeps going. And one of us in this position is too many.
Yeah.
We don't need both of us, because we'll go to work and then we'll start causing problems. Because, I don't know. But anyway.
Satan does insider trading.
Anyway. Like you said, and we'll say every time, we go to Twitter. We both use it.
I don't have the password for it, so...
Well, no, but we technically both use it. Honestly, Duncan and I are not great with social media.
No.
We're not social people.
We live under a rock. I never come out of my apartment.
I mean, we both have our personal Twitters, and we both have Facebook and blah, blah, blah. But we don't use it. It's just a thing we have.
No, because who's going to listen to me? Who's going to listen to me? In all honesty, I don't know why I'm on this podcast most of the time. And most of my Twitter feed is plays of the games that are just pathetic at best, except for one that I'm actually weirdly proud of, where I was Reinhardt.
But, I believe the Twitter is Power Moose Pod. I will take a personal responsibility to try and post more than once a week, because currently it's just, here's the new episode.
Here's the new episode, so maybe we should start.
So yeah, you can follow us at Power Moose Pod. I might get a channel relevant Twitter at some point, but until then, again, I don't use it a ton, but I'll try. If we have more than, if we just have one fan, I'll try to post more. So my personal Twitter is Metal Gear Whale. You can follow me there. I've been posting more recently because I know, if I'm trying to have fans of some kind, I should post.
Have at least some sort of content.
I don't know if you want to.
No.
You don't want to plug your.
I don't. I'm okay.
You feel confident that you're just not going to use it?
Pretty much. I mean, I might use it here and there, but my insurance agent is following me, and I kind of...
You don't want them to know about the episodes?
I don't need them to know any more about my life than they should.
But yeah, you can follow us there. Ask us questions if there's anything you want us to talk about. Like I said last week, Duncan is a little more closed off than I am.
A little more. Yeah.
But I will literally answer any question. I don't care how personal or inappropriate it is. I don't care. I will answer anything. I have no reason to hide anything. We also have an email, and that's just powermoosepodcast@gmail.com. And then the YouTube, which is just Power Moose Podcast. Then, if you want to follow my personal Tumblr in the same thing, I should probably get a channel relevant Tumblr.
Do we really need a Tumblr?
The only reason why I'm going to plug the Tumblr is because it is definitely where I'm most active.
Okay.
It's usually just retweeting other people's stuff, but you get a better look at what my sense of humor is, which is terrible. But on Tumblr, I'm Metal Gear Whale, again, same as Twitter. I think that's it, because I don't have a Facebook. I did put us in review for iTunes, so that's coming. Hopefully.
I mean,
Well, that was fucking terrifying. So, to anyone who notices the hard cut that I will try to do my best to fix, my computer just fucking shut off, and we thought we lost the entire episode. Which
just sitting there Googling, how to get back, restore files after a crash, kind of.
And we would have recorded a second episode, but I don't know how much. I don't know how much we would have wanted to.
I would have been.
It'd have been a short episode.
Yeah, not the almost 2 hours that we're pushing.
But in the meantime, Duncan put on some nonsense called Nyanko Days. It's an anime that's 2 minutes long, and I'd argue that was too long. Of just a little girl who owns some cats, and the M. Night Shyamalan twist is the cats are people.
Kind of.
They're little girls. Very little girls. With cat ears.
And tails.
And tails.
But yeah, it's 2 minutes long. You can just sit down and just not even want... I don't know.
I mean, unless you're going pure comedy, 2 minutes isn't long enough. I don't know where that plot's going.
It's just to set up... The first episode was just to set everything up.
I don't like school. I'm going home. Hello, cats. Credits.
Yeah. Are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
Let's just end this.
I did all the plugs. So scroll back and find them. Again, I guess. Thanks for listening. I wish we were more consistent with episode length, as we're already wildly different in just 2 episodes.
We're trying to find our way.
But, I don't know. I think this one was good.
I mean, this was the one where I actually talked a little more than usual.
But, yeah. Leave comments. Say what you, say how you feel. Did you think it was garbage? Let us know. I'll take it to heart.
I don't think we really need to know if it's garbage. Because deep down in my heart, I know this is just a dumpster fire.
Of course it is. That's terrible. But self-deprecation aside, that is another episode of the Power Moose Podcast. Good night. I'm going to eat.
What's the title?
I don't know.